we're starting up, and hopefully today we won't have weird issues with the camera. Hard to say, really, at this point. Man, I look really pale in this lighting. All right, I've got to adjust that too. It's good. You can almost see through my skin. It's fun. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Glad to have you with me. It's Monday, and what a Monday it is. Let's put a pause for a little bit on the general kind of rolling awful that we're seeing going on for a moment, because we don't want to let it eat us alive. There's value to awareness, but not being overwhelmed by said awfulness. So just as a, just me trying to give you a break during your day and not take the political realm so seriously. That's why we are here. There's serious issues, absolutely. When we use words to lighten a subject, does not mean the subject is taken lightly. And a lot of times, for those of you that are new, haven't seen the stream before, or newly following, welcome and thank you. There seems to be a general idea, occasionally, that that I'm mocking the ideas or concepts or the actual issues that are being discussed that we're going to. No, I'm absolutely not. What I'm doing is dragging out the hypocrites into the sunshine and going, it's not the issue that's the problem. It's that this person thinks that they have a valid point worth hearing, and that they mean us all ill. So what I'm trying to avoid with what I try to do here on the stream is the hijacking of serious issues by inserious people, by treating them with the inseriousness that they deserve. Does that make sense? I hope so. And if it doesn't, oh boy, there's a lot of internet you can go see and enjoy. Right out of the gate, there's a lot of stuff, obviously, that's been going on over the last little bit, and we will get to it in terms of, whoops, I'm on the wrong computer. That happens. I have to type into the wrong computer. So over the course of the weekend and doing Sexy Liberal on Saturday night, thank you to everybody who came to see the show digitally, and those that VIP'd afterwards. It was a great conversation digitally. I look forward to live shows with you guys so much. I can barely stand it, but as they go, they were a lot of fun. And if you guys haven't checked out, I posted one of the sketches. Florida Man is on my site right now if you want to check it out. It was a good time. This is always a torturous week for me, the week before Sexy Liberal, because if I was just planning on doing a sketch comedy show of my own that happened once a month, basically I would have overlapping sketches that I was just from ideas that I think are funny and just about my life or about things I experienced, just like stand-up, and that I would start shooting some of them before this one so they would be done by the time for the next one, and then some ideas would come in late in the game, but you'd shoot little short versions of them and that kind of thing. But when it comes to Sexy Liberal, it's topical. It's super topical. And in the, even post-Trump era, the folks that are being caught up in stuff like Matt Gaetz and others, the news cycle is such a rolling monstrosity that I could write a series of jokes on Monday that are swamped by new details that come out on Wednesday, right? Thank you so much. I'm glad you guys like Florida Man. I appreciate it. It's made a whole $3 on YouTube. So, good times. It'll make more. I just put it up because I don't want to steal from the rest of the guys in the show by posting the rest of my stuff on my website or on YouTube, because that would effectively, it's just bad business for the rest of the guys who are doing it. So shut up and take my money. Thank you, Sasha. I appreciate that. And thank you guys for the hype train. And thanks for joining me today. And sorry, why am I shorter than usual? There I am. They're like, my stool got pushed in. What? That sounds terrible. All right, let me finish typing what I was going to type. To grab something, because the wonderful and talented Can't Stop Lying sent me. Where is it? Here it is. This is just so pitiful, but I need to. It's long. Hold on. This is too long to do. So oh God, it's an hour, and I have no idea what the hell. It just looks like a nightmare. But to start off, I want to start off with the most ridiculous thing I possibly can, and it is very difficult to pick the most ridiculous thing. Is there a cat meowing my theme song? Maybe. And of course, this cuts in really exposing. Hello. It's hard to pick who the most ridiculous person in the sun shines out of Trump's ass crowd is, but it might be Sebastian Gorka. And the reason I'm drawn to do this clip from, I guess, his new show or something is it's called Reality Check, which I did a pilot in '91 with Hilary Swank called Reality Check. Yeah. Pre-Oscar, pre-New Karate Kid, Hilary Swank. I was in a pilot with her, and I played a long-haired dude who is enamored with her, who she finds disgusting. It was lovely. But she's... that's just... What a weird overlap. So the show's called Reality Check, and this is Sebastian Gorka. He's going to tell us what's real. Because, guys, it's reality. Dude, it's a reality check? It's a reality check. I'm Sebastian Gorka. Exposing hypocrisy. Uncovering the swamp. Reality check with Sebastian Gorka. In a super straight tie, I guess. The Gorka reality check. This is so fucking dumb. I see what I mean? Like, when the world is being particularly awful around, the first thing you need to do is go look at something that's completely pathetic.
Welcome to the Gorka reality check. I'm your...
I can't. This is gonna be so awful. The reason, good point, somebody brought it up in the chat room. The reason this kind of maybe stuck a bug in my ear, technically, was because his radio show that he also airs on YouTube, not unlike I do mine, the House Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, he got that whole channel was suspended. The whole thing. Like, not temporarily like the hit I got that was 3 months. It's gone. Just black stripe. This thing is no longer there. And that's his voice. Hello, I'm Sebastian Gorka.
Your host, Dr. Sebastian Gorka. For those who haven't heard me or seen me before, I'm a...
I will fill your nightmares.
Legal immigrant to the United States whose life changed...
citation needed.
Inexorably when a very, very successful businessman who wasn't a politician decided to run for the highest office in the land. It is now history when Donald John Trump and his beautiful wife, Melania Trump...
Okay, this is just weird and creepy. Is he expecting this? Is Trump the only viewer? I mean... audience of one is a colloquialism, but holy shit.
Came down a certain escalator in...
A certain escalator.
Manhattan.
Here it is. Go down the escalator. We're going to take the escalator.
That man was laughed at. He was...
He still is. Oh, boy. I mean, do you... Look at this face. Do you think the laughing stopped?
Ridiculed by the establishment on both sides of the political...
Hey, that's not fair. I don't qualify as the establishment. I don't hold political office. I don't have any sway in the Democratic Party in any material way. Although I'm glad to see they're taking notice of my push for rural broadband. I don't qualify as the establishment, and I ridiculed him as much or more than anybody else. I just feel like I'm not getting credit.
Aisle. He faced down his own Republican challengers and defeated them. And then he defeated a woman who thought...
Dude, is this... Welcome to Sebastian Gorka's Sparks Notes.
Her position as president was owed to her because of her gender and her last name. But he defeated Hillary Clinton as well. Why?
I mean, not in the popular vote, but yeah, I see where you're going.
Because he wasn't a politician and because of a message he shared with
And he's still not. It's great. He's back to not being a politician. Isn't it lovely? It's like it's come full
the
circle.
American people at the Republican National Convention.
My opponent asks her supporters
I forgot how ridiculous he was all the way back then. Like he...
to recite a 3-word loyalty pledge. It reads,
a loyalty pledge.
to recite a 3-word loyalty pledge.
A pledge. Jesus, dude. You're kissing his ass, and you can't even pick a clip where he does it, where he can't mispronounce a single word. Pledge. A single word. Reality pledge. Pledge.
It reads, I'm with her.
I
choose to recite a different pledge. My pledge reads, I'm with you, the American people.
Well, that's not what that wouldn't be their pledge with. I get it. All right, I know what you're going for, but it's something your followers say, not you. No one expected you to be with her. I'm sorry, Sebastian. Please continue.
He didn't demand loyalty from voters to himself. It was
No, but if a governor wasn't nice enough to him, he'd let their constituents die.
wasn't a personality cult based on some kind of family dynasty
Jesus.
of politicians.
Dynasty? In America, we pronounce it dynasty. Who shot JR? Q knows.
He said, I'm with you, the forgotten men and women of America.
Why do I feel like this guy is selling me Bitcoin in the parking lot of a used car dealership?
Americans who really had been betrayed by both parties for far too long. I was blessed, truly blessed,
absolutely blessed with this face and hair.
to become a part of the ensuing administration. I
Yeah, ensuing.
ended up in the White House after years.
Dude, why is this the Gorka reality check? Isn't this just like the Gorka bragging segment? I guess
Years of serving, working with our
How did I not see this before Sexy Liberal so I could do this? I can get a goatee like that. This isn't even a hard impersonation.
military, with the Red Berets, the 82nd Airborne, the Green
I met all these people. When Trump was in office, it was so sweet. They didn't stop me from going anywhere. And now that a real president's in office, it sucks. I can't go to any of these cool parties.
Berets. I ended up with
Do you
the
even
position
polish wood, dude?
of strategist to the President of the United States.
And look how that worked out. How'd the strategy work out? Was it a good strategy? Is he tired of winning yet?
remarkable thing is, it's such an American story.
I know. I was gonna make another like Dynasty Knots Landing Dallas tie, but I just bailed on it because I don't care.
Here I am taking the oath of allegiance to the greatest nation on God's green earth. To be an immigrant.
Well, obviously there's more ocean than land, and there's a lot of desert, so it's kind of God's green blue earth with touches of green and brown. Just for the record.
A person who chose this country and who just a few years
Oh, I'm sorry, Gorka, because I was born here. You're better than me as an American? Is that the idea? Well, all right, shots fired.
earlier
So immigrants, I'm waiting to see where you go with this.
had become its citizen to rise to serve the president only here, only in the United States of America.
No. Lots of immigrants serve in cabinets in presidencies and prime ministerships all over the country. What the fuck are you talking about?
However, what happened in 2016 is poorly understood. Even
Yeah. Nobody understands it better than you, and I'm glad in 2021 we're gonna go back over this shit.
even those on the conservative side of the political divide, especially in the establishment Republican Party.
Oh, they're the worst, aren't they? Ugh, God. The establishment Republican Party. Get at them. Tell them give them the business there, Gork.
Don't appreciate what happened 4 years ago.
They don't appreciate it.
And what it means for the future. So in this, our first episode of the Gorka reality check.
And I hope it runs forever. I mean, it's going to be the Simpsons of Newsmax shows.
We will ask and answer the key questions that you need to be apprised of.
Yeah, how did 2016 happen? What?
Number one, what really happened?
Really? Honest to God, this is shocking to me. It's 2021. He's launching a new show. I don't know what the fuck is happening here. Analyzing the 2016 election? What?
Happened in the United States. How is it that for the first time ever in our history, the American people chose a non-politician? We forget this far.
What are you talking about, a non-politician? All the original presidents were non-politicians. Half of them were revolutionaries. George Washington didn't want to keep being president because he thought nobody should. He wanted to go back to farming. The fuck are you talking about?
Far too easily. We forget the fact that this individual broke the mold.
No, he didn't.
For every president
Yeah.
since our revolution.
Since our revolution. Excuse me, it's our revolution. You came in late. I mean, you showed up at the birthday party. You didn't bring a gift. You're standing by the buffet, and you're saying, we all want to wish you a happy birthday. You're toast as shit. Go away.
From George Washington, right up through to the 44th president, Barack Hussein Obama, every single chief executive was either a former general, like Washington and Eisenhower, or a former senator, a former governor, a former representative.
Somebody with experience, somebody that, and interestingly enough, during none of those presidencies did we lose 600,000 people.
In 2016, more than 60 million Americans said, no, that ends. The age of professional politicians ends. And we're going to bring in somebody who's proven themselves outside of the swamp. An individual.
And they went, we don't have one of those people. Well, can we use Trump? He's a pretend billionaire.
Individual who really was chosen for one specific reason.
Thanks, Ain't Life a Horror.
Whatever you think of Donald Trump, whether you like his...
I try not to, actually. Whether you like his what?
Tweets or his style, his...
Yes, swagger, his hand job dance, where it's like he's in a truck stop men's room getting a hot shower. Whether you like his gigantic comb over, his weird orange face line, his odd stretchy neck thing that he does when he takes pictures now that make him look like some sort of a frog.
Kid from Queens attitude is irrelevant.
His kid from Queens attitude. Kid from Queens attitude? Damn, dude. This is a lot of smoke. Well, I guess there's a lot of ass.
The most important thing about Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, which is the topic for today's initial episode of the...
Okay, the MAGA movement. Yes, right. The MAGA. Tell us about it. Don't get into the part where it was absolutely swamped by QAnon and it's basically a mix of Tea Partiers and Q-nuts who wish that Trump would start a pineapple farm.
Gorka reality check is the fact that nobody owns Donald Trump. Nobody...
You're shitting me, right? You what now? First of all, We know exactly who owns Donald Trump. He owes hundreds of millions of dollars. He's got bills coming due in the next year that will absolutely put his properties in probate.
Owned him in 2016.
Yeah, they did. They obviously did. What the fuck?
None of the lobbies, not the unions, not big pharma.
Oh, you mean, nobody owns him, like, no groups of people with desires to better their lives own him. I see, like nurses and shopkeepers and, union stewards and that kind of, nobody owns him that way. Like, the groups don't own him. Just 3 or 4 oligarchs and billionaires, and maybe Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell have a little bit of a tug.
None of them, not the oil industry, not the defense industry. He was independent of them all.
And what happened? The oil industry got more support from the U.S. government than it's got since we shifted to oil and built the interstate highway system. And the military got the largest unnecessary, not during peacetime expenditure in the history of America.
And that is why he remains a threat to the swamp and the vested interests that have seen in this city where I live.
Donald Trump for the people. Dude, what the fuck is this show? This is from today. What? What do you mean still a threat? The only threat he poses is to Mitch McConnell?
If individuals become politicians and stay politicians for decades, a phenomena.
Yeah, it's like military people, you know what I mean? People need to become generals, like right out of the... You want to be a general, join the army as a general, okay? And we don't need these people who've been hanging around in the military for a long time, learning how it works.
That truly would have horrified our founding fathers. Our nation was born out of the concept of the citizen politician, an individual who serves
So you can't run for president and you're just pissed? Is that what it is, Sebastian?
his nation, represents his fellow man, and then after a brief time in office, returns to civilian life.
That's what it was. He didn't lose, guys. Trump did not lose in 2020. He returned to the land and the fields like the true American.
When George Washington was invited to stay, to become really a king in all but title, he said, no, I'm going back to life as normal. That is the citizen politician. And excitingly, that is part of the MAGA movement.
Is it? Is it everybody? Oh, so Boebert's going to step down next year? That's great. So Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz are all quitting? Because they shouldn't stay in there forever. Why should you run for more than 3 terms? Just because there's no term limits on you doesn't mean you have to live in the goddamn place. What are you guys, squatters?
Seeing individuals who said enough is enough. The forgotten men and women have been betrayed for far too long, and I'm going to fight the vested interests.
But not for long. And after that, I'm going to go cash in on it.
That is part of America First. But we also have to ask the tough questions. We celebrate this.
Yeah. Like, here's a tough question. What kind of thumbs up is that? It looks like he's measuring someone. What is he painting? That's mid-dance, by the way. You can tell by the way his hand is next to his body right there. That's at the end. Sebastian, I know you're kissing his ass, but why are you picking the worst pictures? I mean, yeah, okay, he doesn't take a good picture. Good point.
Reinvigoration, this revivification of what it means to be the greatest.
Another great picture. Who are you? Do I know you? I know that guy. Who are you? Hey, guy.
Republic on the planet.
Yeah, push in on it. That's good. Otherwise, we wouldn't miss the hatchet part. And the weird swoop. Look at this. Look at this ginormous...
But we have to ask the question.
Yeah.
Did the swamp win?
Oh, that's a hard. That's why this kiss-ass preamble, because they have to ask, did the swamp beat Donald Trump?
Did the deep state defeat this iconoclastic president with the
Well, I mean, he didn't win re-election.
the victory of the Democrats last year? If that is the case, why? And should he?
Yes, reality check. Why, Sebastian Gorka? You've already said he's basically the greatest guy since before George Washington. Like, if Trump was there first, he would have been better than Washington. We get that. And we get that, no one, could believe how the movement that he's created, even though it's basically petering out.
Run again? Will he be able to defeat the swamp this time?
No, he won't. I don't want to blow the story. Spoiler alert, no.
I was there.
Yeah, that's part of the reason why he's not going to win again, because that's his judgment. That's who he surrounds himself with.
In the arena. I was there inside the White House. I was there inside the presidential transition team. And we're going
And tell us, and it worked out so well. Did you give him the boomerang?
to talk to some individuals who know the truth about just how dire the challenge is.
Yeah, he just didn't know.
Just how significant the vested interests inside this city are, and how they really don't care about you, the American people.
That's why they just passed a $1.9 trillion rescue package for you, the people.
Going to talk to somebody who was there even before MAGA began, an individual who...
Was there an America before that? Excuse me, I've read the Bible. In the beginning there was nothing. And the Lord said, let there be MAGA. And there was MAGA. And then, I don't know, a bunch of other bullshit. I stopped reading it.
Who founded something called the Brexit movement, and an individual who's close to Donald Trump. We're going to talk to one of the greatest strategic minds in America today, Professor Victor Davis Hanson, a man...
Not Professor Victor Davis Hanson, who's... Who the fuck is that?
The book, The Case for Donald Trump.
Oh, he wrote the book, The Case for Donald Trump. I see. Working with Trump. Man, these are duds. What kind of shitty lower thirds?
A man who understands this...
Working with Trump? Who's typing over there?
Strategic import of...
He's like Dr. Smith if he took he got a prescription that caused hirsutism.
Having a non-politician in the White House, and truly how...
Well, we don't, actually. We tried it. It didn't work out. A lot of people died. It was pretty shitty. He just gave favors to his friends. He was an idiot. He met with dictators who torture and murder their citizens and was like, what's the big deal? Yeah. So, experiment over. Complete failure. We'll try again next time.
How deep and broad the threat to representative government is in America. No, we're not a democracy. We are a representative government. And that's why things such as the Electoral College are so very, very important. That's why...
Yeah, they are, because if we have the ability for every person to vote...
As we saw in the elections of last year...
What's up, UK?
The fact that it is the states that should run our elections is something the Founding Fathers knew. And that's something that is in dire, dire need of protection today. We're going to talk to somebody who has dealt with Donald Trump, the man, the businessman, who is...
So basically you're just calling friends because you guys are broke and can't get hired anywhere else. So you went to work at Newsmax, and then you're tossing rent money to people through Mike Pillow to get them on your show to come on and kind of powwow about, wasn't it awesome when Trump was president? Remember how sweet we got it? Remember when Matt Gaetz let us use his Venmo?
Sat across from him, done business dealings with him, and who is a presidential historian. We're going to talk to Lord Conrad Black.
Lord Conrad Black. Oh boy. Will he be wearing a like a cowl?
Also going to have a discussion of why what Ronald Reagan taught us about being a happy warrior is more important than ever. Why it is that every single day we have to have in front of us a reminder of what Rush Limbaugh taught us.
Wait, what Rush Limbaugh taught us? What did he teach us? If you abuse painkillers and stimulants, you'll go deaf. That just because you got your cleaning lady to bring 30,000 pills doesn't mean you didn't ask her to do it and you're not culpable in the crime. Sorry. That hypocrisy wins. That's what he taught us.
Despair is un-American. If you've given up on the conservative movement, if you think MAGA, Make America Great Again, is dead.
Wait, that's what it stands for? I had no idea. The future of MAGA.
And America First has lost. Well, I've got harsh words for you. That is an un-American attitude. But I'm going to show you.
Wow. All right. So you're an un-American if you stopped believing in Trump because he lost and fucked up the whole thing.
Why? And I'm going to show you why.
Well,
we must always be happy warriors, and why at the end of the
that's Sebastian Gorka, the happy warrior.
They always lose. And then lastly, and we're going to do this for every episode of
all 8 of them before they go away.
The Gorka reality check.
Oh, is that what it's called? I forgot.
I'm going to give you a prescription. Dr.
More cowbell?
G's prescription.
For Dr. G's prescription? Fucking hell. Oh, God. They're just, you can tell they're having little marketing meetings about this, and it's just, this will be hip. We'll have a graphic. It'll be like...
what you can do to help...
let me guess. Storm a national monument.
Save our republic. Every single one of you matters.
Yeah, every one of you. Unless you're me and you're watching this as a joke because you think he's an asshole. I don't think he's talking to me.
Doesn't matter where you live. You can be...
No, if you could be in Macedonia in a hacker farm. You could be, living under the protection of Vladimir Putin in Moscow after you undermined the government of Ukraine or attacked our democracy. Anywhere. You could be in the Philippines, bunking up with Jim and Ron Watkins.
In a Democrat state, doesn't matter what your background is, you have a role
it kind of does, doesn't it?
To play in making America great again. It's not just about complaining and pointing out the hypocrisy of the left. It's about giving...
Later, Dr. G's prescription. God damn, this is dumb.
You, the concrete marching orders of how you can make a difference and help the next Republican president, whoever that may be.
It might be the same guy. We hope so.
Bring back the principles of our founding.
Oh, God. No. Oh, that's what Newsmax needed. New shows, bigger stars. Let's do this. And everyone wants to hear from Sebastian Gorka. All right, before I jump into this awful, holy hell, what is, is Glenn Beck just like, is this live from Margaritaville? What happened? He's totally sunburned. Did he go to Cancun and Ted Cruz left him there? This is the nightmare, the end of capitalism, because clearly Biden is going to destroy capitalism, and we know it because the Great Reset is going to destroy everything. I've never seen something like this. CEO meeting proves the Great Reset is upon us. I've never seen something like this. CEO meeting proves the Great Reset is upon us. You think so? Yeah. Should we play a new Glenn Beck game where we're like, sunburn or gin? Sorry. This is the description. Business leaders and CEOs from some of the world's largest corporations recently met during a Zoom meeting to discuss how together they can fight election integrity laws, like the voting law recently passed in Georgia. Glenn says he's never seen something like this. He explains how this government-corporation partnership is not only proof of fascism, but it is also demonstrative of how our lives will be under the Great Reset. Government and large corporations will work together to set the rules, and the freedoms of the individual American will be squashed. Da, da, da. Obviously, the first thing they've done is canceled sunscreen.
That they have ever said about, oh, it's a conspiracy theory on the Great Reset. You can throw that in the garbage now.
Okay, good. All right. Well, let me see. Let's see. Where is it? I have my whole folder. No, guys, really, I have a whole folder of stuff about the Great Reset. Where is it? I have a box of stuff. I'll be right there, guys. It's coming. I just got to throw it right in the garbage. It's in here somewhere. I'll find it later. God damn it. It was just here. All right. I made a note.
Because by their own fruits, by their own actions, you will know them.
Yes. It's all the great fruit companies. It was the drive-by fruiting.
Something happened this weekend that is absolutely unprecedented.
Wow. Well, we're all very excited for you, Glenn. How does it feel to finally be a man? Sorry.
I have done this job for 45...
job.
I don't even know how many years. Almost 50 years.
And you still haven't gotten it right.
And
I've been doing this thing for just a little over a year, and I'm as good at it or better than you are. What does that tell you about skilled labor?
Never seen anything like this.
Yeah, his lips are very bright red. Either he's burned them really bad too, he's wearing lipstick, or he's been drinking a lot of Pepto.
Leaders of over 100 major corporations.
100 major corporations getting together. Sounds like communism.
Got together and spoke via Zoom on Saturday.
Oh, man. Did somebody Zoom bomb them? Did they get dick wagged? Was Jeffrey Toobin on the... Are you wearing pants, Glenn? Were you not invited? Is that the problem?
About how they could combat election integrity laws similar to the one that was proposed in Georgia. Multiple reports, Wall Street Journal, and others.
Oh, God. Wait, Wall Street Journal? Hold on. That's a privately owned newspaper. Who owns that? It's something... It rhymes with Dupert Flurbach. I'll have to think about it. It's in there.
Directly quote people that were on the phone call. They talked about potential ways to show how they opposed the legislation.
You've been doing this job for 50 years and you can't get your mic positioning right? Seriously. 50 years of skill. Yeah, what the hell?
Including by halting donations to politicians. Fine.
Fine. So you're for that. Okay, check. Glenn is for that, priority one.
Who support the bills and even delaying investments in states.
And your earpiece is all floppy. It was sticking out there for a minute. 50 years you've been doing this friggin' job.
That's black.
Yeah, and your elbows are clearly resting on the edge of the table and giving you a dig in. I mean, have you not set up for this kind of thing?
Mail that pass
His arms are white. It's gin for sure. Yeah. You think he's a rosy drunk?
Measures. Now, this is according to people who were on the call. Now, I want you to understand what they are called.
You weren't on the call. People who were on the call, who think like you do, related this to you in the most frightening way possible, and you are translating the translation. Gotcha. It's a big game of telephone, and you weren't on the call. Okay. Way to do your job.
Calling restrictive measures are actually just going back to the way it was before COVID-19. Remember, we had this unprecedented election, and we had to change these laws. In fact, they couldn't even go through the legislative branch. They just had to be done many times by executive order. And the states changed their laws to make it easier for people to vote because of COVID. Everything that they had done was unprecedented, one time only. So now these laws that are saying, okay, we're not doing that anymore.
Like, we're not doing that. Wait a minute. We made it possible for everybody to be able to mail in their vote, and it worked. The turnout was enormous. Fuck that. We need to go back to white areas get 25 machines for every 12 voters, and black areas get the broken ones, and people have to stand in line for 7 hours. Back to the good old days.
Now it's being called restrictive. All the states are doing is bringing it back to where it was pre-COVID.
To the restrictive stuff that they were doing, right?
COVID. They are just protecting what George Soros's cronies made vulnerable.
Well, that was quick. We got a Super Jew drop at 2:22 in a 14-minute video. Like, he didn't even try.
That's it.
That's it. Just bang, bang. I feel like I need some sort of like a bling Super Jew and like a weird picture of George Soros's face that goes, ah, or some effect or whatever. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing, but with George Soros's face.
Now, who is there?
Who?
Delta Airlines. We don't have a full list. Delta Airlines. Citigroup.
Citigroup. Bankers. Who owns banks? 1939. Jews. Something or other.
Viacom, CBS.
Oh, the mainstream media.
UPS.
Oh my God, the mainstream delivery system.
The owner, by the way, UPS is deep in this. If you're using UPS.
Oh yeah, they're deep in brown. What?
Yes.
He looks like Bimbo the birthday clown. Seriously, he looks like somebody on an ad for hot peppers. I had no idea. Woo! And steam. All right.
Use the federal government's postal service over UPS and for God's sakes, Federal Express. They may be involved as well, but I know UPS.
We don't know. Yeah, this whole thing may include Federal Express.
Yes, is actually deeply involved in the Great Reset. The owner of the Atlanta Falcons was
like. I'm starting to think that UPS and FedEx are interested in everybody having means so that more people ship packages from and to places because they make money. If only what kind of industry do you have if you can only afford to perform for or work for or provide services to the 9 or 12 rich people in the world? Right? You kind of want... I mean, that's honest to God, completely. I gotta come clean with you guys. It's one of the reasons why actors and comedians like myself are big on the middle class. We like people to have expendable income, disposable income, however you want to refer to it. We want you to have extra money left over at the end of the month instead of extra month left over at the end of your money. And the reason is because then you can spend it on going to restaurants, going to comedy clubs, and going to the movies, and paying for streaming services and that kind of stuff, or going to see live comedy shows when they're there, or watching them virtually. As if you go to rushtix.com/events/Hal Sparks, I think that's what it is. Because I've got a comment. I just tweeted it out. We're a month away from both you being able to virtually watch me do Shakespeare and then 3 days later virtually watch me do stand-up. I'm just saying. But the reason, a lot of industries are starting to wise up to the fact that if all the money's isolated in one area, you end up chasing this single thing, and only certain businesses can thrive in those environments. Like, one of the reasons why certain types of music have taken off in the last 10 years, since the mid-90s, is because some of the artists can go perform on a billionaire's yacht. And so they have more money of their own for their next record, and they can buy 50,000 copies of their own record with their own cash and just hand them out at shows or something like that, whereas everybody else is ice skating uphill every time they make a record to get money from a label. So only the music that appeals to those kind of people get that kind of leg up. So nobody wants to live like that.
Was there.
Yeah.
He also co-founded Home Depot, the chairwoman of Starbucks.
Oh my God. Chairwoman. Yikes. That sounds frightening. And Home Depot? By the way, the chairman of Home Depot and the founder of Home Depot, he's a Trump supporter. Those are Trump supporters. They just don't think he lost the election. They don't buy the bullshit that he was selling. And they know that if they fight election integrity, fight for these, quote, election integrity laws, which are really there just to deny people the right to vote, it's going to come back to haunt them in the business because people aren't going to want to shop there. They're going to go to Lowe's or wherever else.
LinkedIn, Levi Strauss.
Oh, my classic commie companies. Levi Strauss. Oh.
Boston.
Don't tell me Venmo is supporting this nonsense.
Consulting Group, the CEO of AMC Entertainment.
Oh my God, movie theaters already there. Isn't it bad enough that they're showing movies like Black Panther and stuff like that and they're making money? They're carrying the water of the liberal Hollywood elite carnival crowd. I don't know. What the hell?
Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. He is a Yale
that doesn't sound positive.
School of Management professor who helped organize the meeting. He said to the Washington Post that corporate leaders on the call felt very strongly that these voting restrictions are based on a flawed premise and are dangerous. What is the flawed premise? That this was a new way to vote in America for COVID?
No, that there were, for example, that the voting machines themselves were tampered with somehow, that there was there was a lot of voter fraud, that dead people voted, that that they were going to put more restrictions on how what it takes to register, how if somebody brooms you from the rolls 3 months before an election, how you get notified of it so that you know that you don't show up on the day and end up having to vote provisionally and having your vote counted later, and then it automatically goes and they can sway local and congressional districts that way. Gerrymandering, dark money, foreign money in politics, those kind of things. That's not going back to anything. This is shit that's always needed to be fixed.
The discussion scheduled to last an hour went 10 minutes longer. It was...
Oh, my God. Probably so they could read aloud from Mao's Little Red Book.
Led at times by Kenneth Chenault, the former chief executive of American Express. Notice we...
Oh, my God. Not American Express. I mean, that's the opposite of America First. American Express pathway down the toilet.
We have financial industry well represented here.
Uh-huh. What do you mean, Glenn? What about the financial industry and your belief about the people involved in the financial industry leads you to a point of concern, Glenn? Wouldn't be Jews, would it?
Also, Kenneth Frazier, the chief executive of Merck.
Oh my God, not Merck. One of the people making the pandemic vaccinations.
Stu, did Merck make a... Are they out with a...
No.
With a...
No. Vaccine?
Vaccine? Is Merck...
Fucking hell, man. No.
Have one?
Not that's approved here in the United States.
No, they pulled it. Theirs didn't work. So they started working on treatments. Pay fucking attention. You've been doing this for 50 years. How do I have more of this on call in my brain than you do? I don't even have a dude sitting over here going, bruh, let me look up.
States.
I have to live Google my shit, and I still have less dead air than you do.
So I don't know if they've...
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Good, thanks, bro. It's glad I called you in. The next time, start typing the minute I ask you, I mention your name and a question. What the hell?
They told the executives on the call that it was important to keep fighting what they viewed as discriminatory laws on voting. Chenault and Fraser coordinated a letter signed last month by 72 black business executives that made the same point. The letter,
Oh my God!
that first
not
drew-
black business. Next thing you know is we're gonna have to fight the Black Businesses Matter. Oh, BBM, and then what will Glenn type into his tender desires? So Zero Sum Game says this latest Colonel Sanders seems to be made entirely of roast beef sautéed in racism, Hawaiian tropic.
attention to the voting bills in executive suites all across the country.
Oh God, it's a terrible. American corporations, writ large, are against the Republican Party disallowing American citizens from voting, or simplifying the process, or making it more widely available for every American. Eek, because communism. I don't know if Glenn is wearing lipstick. Yeah, I know, Scotty, it's the worst thing ever. Blacks and Jews together? Oh my God. I don't know what the problem is, man.
The call's goal, listen to this.
Honest to God, Sammy Davis Jr. might be Glenn Beck's worst nightmare. If he was, can you imagine Glenn Beck? He probably has a recurring nightmare where he goes to meet with a company that's going to be a sponsor of his radio show, and he walks in and the CEO is Sammy Davis Jr. Corporation run by a black Jew. Ah! Hey man, you might want to put on some sunscreen next time.
Was to unify companies that had
You look like a tomato somebody left out in the snow. Sorry.
been issuing their own statements and signing on to drafted statements from
Oh my God!
different organizations after the action in Georgia. This according to Sonnenfeld. Can
Oh my God! And I mean, can you really trust him?
I ask, is anyone on the right meeting with corporations?
Anyway, yeah, because there's no right-leaning or conservative CEOs of these 100 companies. Almost all of them are. What are you talking about? This sounds a lot like the argument about gay marriage. Like, look at Coca-Cola and all these companies. Is there any conservatives running these companies? I'm like, dude, they want to sell product to everyone. They're not doing this, by the way, because they've suddenly found Jesus or that they've suddenly found Karl Marx. You know, they're doing this because they recognize it's bad for business if only a narrow group of people control all the money and influence in a certain area artificially. It's one thing if everybody goes, that guy's smart, we're all voting for that person. But it's another thing if, like, we have no ability to vote otherwise. That's a problem. They also want resources to be widely available to everybody who can earn them. Not given, because that won't last. It can never last. But if people can start businesses and get loans and start their own firm and start their own coffee shop and shit like that, they can buy more product. They could sell more product. They could fly across the country on Delta Airlines because that was the company that backed them up, that allowed them to be able to vote in the election and put people in office that actually ended up benefiting them in the long term so that they could fly across the country and go, yeah, my franchise is working great. Like, that's why. It's not... This isn't angelic on the part of corporations. They're looking at their bottom line. It's smart.
Is anybody on the right actually holding Zoom call meetings and saying, hey, look, we've got to start working together?
Yeah, that's what you guys need. Yeah, they're actually, yes, if you want to know, there have been Zoom call meetings on the right. Largely January 6th insurrectionists and their legal teams, largely, people who have been planning some sort of overthrow of the government, but they have indeed had Zoom calls about getting together.
They have infiltrated our boardroom, which was a goal of the Tides Foundation back in the 1980s. They have...
Oh my gosh, the Tides Foundation. Let me guess. Jewses. Tides Foundation. Just in case you don't know, we'll look this up right. Oh no. I mean, it's super frightening. Just like the logo for this friggin' thing is terrible. The Tides, a force for social good. No. Donor advised fund. Oh, so they fund things. So donors give money and then they give sponsorships and they collaborate spaces. Look at these names. Women, Jews, Spanishy names. So frightening. Chris Dagelmeyer is the CEO. Who is this Chris Dingeldagger? Clearly an evil revenue. They made $548 million and they spent $441 million of it in 2018. It's a public charity and fiscal sponsor working to advance progressive causes and policy initiatives in areas such as environment, healthcare, labor issues, immigrant rights, LGBTQ plus rights, women's rights, and human rights. Is founded in San Francisco. Gross! You know what that means. In 1976, through donor-advised funds, Tides distributes money from anonymous donors to other organizations which are often politically liberal. Well, duh, San Francisco. In 1996, Tides has overseen the Tides Center, which is an incubator for small progressive organizations. Oh my God, it's like Alien. You walk by and the eggs open up and they jump on your company and they plant a seed in your belly. In 2004, Tides formed the Tides Shared Spaces offshoot, specialized in renting office space to nonprofit tenants. In 2008, Stephanie Strom referred to the Tides Network as the umbrella organization for these entities. Stephanie Strom. This is so frightening. I don't know, oh God. Can you imagine people who have an idea that they want to move forward, getting together and raising money to try and do that? It sounds frightening.
Infiltrated our boardrooms, and now these corporations think they rule over us. They
rule over us.
Think it's their responsibility, not the elected officials, but their responsibility. By the way, some of them, because...
By the way, if the belief is that those elected representatives are trying to keep it so that they stay elected artificially, then why would those companies support that? And has Glenn Beck ever had a problem with companies putting their thumb on the scale of elections to benefit other people? I mean, when's he going to start bitching about the NRA's control over the Republican Party? If the Tides Foundation, which nobody's ever really, people don't even really discuss that much because they don't, between that and the NRA, who has the most outsized control over the American discussion on guns, for example?
Because they're so with the people. Some of them made the phone call from Augusta, Georgia, where they were attending.
Oh, they were in the state.
The Masters Golf Tournament, which was so woke of them, I think, to be able to go to Georgia where they are protesting, but they wanted to see the Masters. Right. Okay.
So they shouldn't have gone. I'm glad, Glenn, good for you. So you're now supporting the Major League Baseball moving the All-Star game to Colorado. That's all right. Well, there's little, baby steps.
One Georgia-based executive,
Baby Tomato,
talked about how the final version of Georgia's legislation, which Brian Kemp has said actually expands voting access, a claim.
Well, that's what he said, but he also was Secretary of State when he was running against Stacey Abrams, and everybody thought that was sketchy as fuck.
That the left challenges.
Right. But hey, who was challenging Brian Kemp up until 2 weeks ago? Huh? I mean, honestly, Glenn, are you disagreeing with Donald Trump that Brian Kemp can't be trusted?
Say was much worse than expected. And it should serve as a warning to other chief executives as more states consider adopting their own voting bills. Now, why is this? Should this be a warning to other chief executive officers? Why is that a warning to CEOs? Wouldn't it be a warning to the American people?
Well, no, because the American people, don't all live in Georgia, but they all can either choose to use or not use certain products. If the red states are throwing it, but the majority of Americans live in blue states, which is the fact, those people would be otherwise powerless to control that, except for the fact that they can make an economic input. hence boycott, hence canceling people, hence things that the Republican Party and Glenn Beck has actually called for repeatedly. And, they don't call it cancel culture or boycotting. They just we shouldn't buy their shit anymore.
We just too dumb? And so...
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes, can I just answer that question right away? You are. You're too dumb. I mean, there's levels of dumb, obviously.
I like wood.
Q snatch.
But yes, you're too dumb.
We aren't going to support some of these things, and so the corporations, they're going to act as a secondary government? One that I don't know.
That's what it is. They're totally taking over, Glenn. It's almost as if they're not going to give money to states. It's almost like they have 49 other states to choose from.
I didn't elect the CEO of Merck.
So who gives a shit if he moves his company to another state or doesn't hold events in a state because they don't support democracy? If any companies pulled out during the Civil War with doing business with the South because they were run by abolitionists, you're saying that that would have been fascism.
Did you, Stu? I don't remember the ballot where I voted for the CEO of American Express.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Yeah, but I didn't vote for anybody who got voted into office in Georgia or Colorado or any of those states. And by the way, please wipe whatever you're pulling out of your nostril all over him.
Not a shareholder, so I do not. No, I do not get a vote in that.
I'm not a shareholder, and they have one voice. Isn't this amazing? That
what? That you can take it with a grain of salt and go, Merck or not Merck. I don't care. I'm not buying stock in it, or I might buy stock in it. And there's almost, since there's a 50-50 divide in the electorate almost, we would literally have a split Senate. Merck could obviously be taking on as much financial potential damage as they could financial reward from this, because who has money and who can invest, and people might pull their money out of Merck and put it into AstraZeneca, because I know you guys are pro blood clot.
The people that are organizing this and are fine with it are the ones that say that corporations have no voice.
No, they have an overt voice. Our problem is who they're giving money to behind the scenes using dark channels, largely super PACs.
It's the Republic.
Because if you can look at somebody's list of donors and go, all right, Coca-Cola gave this person a big bunch of money. Why would that be? Is that for a good reason or a bad reason? But if I don't know that Coca-Cola gave this person a bunch of money because they gave it to a super PAC or someone else, or set up their own fund for advertising and, said America's Beverage Bottlers of America or some shit, and it ended up tilting the election, that's the part that's concerning. Hence Citizen United. Hence part of the thing that's removed by H.R. 1.
It's the libertarian.
I know, Francie, Glenn's face is very red. I mean, it's like a bearded lobster. It's like he's auditioning for a Disney cartoon.
That say corporations can do what they want to do. But the ones that are saying corporations are evil, they keep people in poverty, they're the ones that are stepping to the plate and backing all of this. Why? 2 reasons.
Okay, 2 reasons. Okay. Does one of them have to do with the fact that corporations have traditionally been very conservative and that kind of stuff and have done damage to the country, and now we're shifting into an era where corporations are recognizing their social responsibility in a way that they didn't initially have in the 80s when things moved from the CEO focused system to basically a board of directors focus where there's more voices available, that they're going back to, in many ways, the sort of social responsibility that some of even the robber barons had, because they recognize that their family name is on shit. So, giving to the community, doing some stuff, even as you fought to, tooth and nail for every profit you could possibly get, that a lot of the old, old-fashioned kind of Rockefeller businesses and the, JP Morgan Chase and all those folks, they did a lot of community-based stuff and tried to help and did overt community-based stuff because they knew that their family name, all their other relatives had to deal with the fact that, oh, your Chase is your uncle? You must be a rich asshole. I might need to beat the shit out of you in a West Virginia parking lot. That kind of stuff that they dealt with in the 20s and 30s. And now that boards are finally coming to that realization, it's very disturbing for Glenn.
1, the Great Reset. 2,
the first reset. By the way, the Great Reset is this kind of, is what they believe is the corporations of the world trying to take all these wealthy countries don't deserve to be wealthy, and all these poor countries, it's not their fault that they're poor, and we need to even that out. So we're going to make all these countries rich and make this one, make you poor, and everybody, like, that this is this kind of global communism that they're shooting for. Instead of going, oh, there's people there and we could sell shit to them.
2, they know they'll be eaten by those people. If the Great Reset doesn't work, if the Great Reset isn't the answer, then maybe Marxism is, they would think. And
yeah, that's the next step. If we can't, how is that not Marxism ultimately? Seriously. Except for the fact that it's not governments running it, that it's companies arguably working through government entities and NGOs to try and normalize the economy, and largely, by the way, because they, not for good reasons, but because they see the sales potential as long as people have a certain amount of expendable resource. And the companies that do it are the food and beverage industry and the hospitality industry, namely airplanes, because if more people can afford to fly to see family, there's just tons of money in that. And if you corner the market on, say, water in India, and people don't have to drink out of a rusty pipe anymore, they can afford to buy a few bottles of water. You want it to be yours, and the billions of dollars that are unlocked in that's what they're after.
And if that happens, they're done.
Well, then why would they be? Okay. So basically, they want the Great Reset because the only other option is Marxism. Jesus Christ. You do realize these are economic theories that were created when there's less than 2 billion people on the whole goddamn planet. That capitalism, as it's currently described, is resource capitalism, which has been all but dead except in a couple of sectors since the 30s. And Marxism is a tribal modality and thought experiment from early Russia. Who cares? None of them work. Socialism in this, what we call socialism, you guys heard me rant about this anyway. We don't have socialism in this country. Even Social Security isn't socialism. It's based on a capitalist structure. It's based on money paid out. We don't build hospitals for you. You don't go to a government hospital. It's a private hospital. You get money from the government to go to a private hospital, and you can pick multiple. That's capitalism. It's democratic taxation. It's not socialism. It just isn't. Stop calling it that. And there is no Marxist end to any of this. It's goofy. The closest thing to Marxism that humanity will ever see is some sort of weird Star Trek, life in 500 years or 1,000 years, and that's when resources don't matter. When you can manufacture resources, when you have robots doing all the work and resources being able to be generated out of nothing, meaning digitally, like AI farm buildings that produce enough food for everybody all the time. That's the only way that's possible. Otherwise, you have to do what effectively happens in China and what happened in Russia, which is we don't have any homeless people. Why? Well, because we roll by, and if we see one, we scoop them up and we put them in a box, and they just are never seen again. It's real easy to have a society that runs really smoothly like that under a Marxist or communist idea. When you don't have to deal with the poor, you just get rid of them. And that's what happens. It doesn't have to happen, theoretically, but that's what does happen because people just get tired of dealing with it. It's too expensive. So, and you have to hire people or make people work in a hospital to deal with the mentally ill. It's always easier just to dispose of them. So euthanasia and those things start cropping up. That's a tirade for another time. But all these systems were built when there was no internet, there was no option, there was no space travel, there was no idea that we would colonize other planets one day. It was absurd. We don't live in that anymore. And we also had isolated economies. The American economy was what people sold to. Now you can sell washing machines to China and you can sell them to people in India. That wasn't even possible when they dreamt this shit up.
Corporations, Citibank, Coca-Cola, Delta, Microsoft all have criticized Georgia's new election integrity bill. Major League.
Yeah, it's not an electricity integrity bill. That criticism would be for Texas. Actually.
Baseball, good, moved its All-Star game from Atlanta to Denver. Like Denver's any better.
Yeah, they legalized weed. As if that place wasn't high enough. Hey-o!
And this all came from the pressure from the White House. Remember, the White House is saying corporations should do this, not the people. We've gone from BLM, which is another story I can't wait to talk.
Oh, please. Yeah, please get into BLM.
Talk to you about. We've gone from BLM, a supposed grassroots organization. We've gone from the left saying that the Tea Party wasn't legitimate because it was AstroTurf. It was funded by big money. We've gone from that.
Yeah, it was.
To now corporations openly meeting and coordinating efforts to change laws.
Terrible. No, they're not. They can't change the law. They can just say we're not going to do business in this state if the law is like that. I mean, the same thing happened with gay marriage and other social issues. We're not going to invest there. I mean, that is, again, this goes back to the whole like consent, free speech, this idea that corporations are people, but apparently these corporate people are not allowed to move out of a state once they're there because the state is doing shit they don't like. Meanwhile, what have they been saying about Texas and California? Don't like the taxes? Protest by moving your company to Texas, right? They're allowed to do that. They're allowed to take the tax dollars out of one state and go to the other because of some alleged political freedom that they'll have, which isn't necessarily true at all. And of course, ask them how they like their customers freezing to death.
This is fascism, guys. Fascism is when government...
Oh my God, Glenn Beck just joined Antifa. And I have to say, whenever I see someone all blacked out, with their hoodie and their mask and the goggles and all that kind of stuff, underneath, I always picture Glenn Beck. I don't know, Amy. I think Glenn Beck has maybe had his brain baked. Maybe he wasn't laying out in the sun. Maybe this is the results of like standing too close to the microwave.
And corporations work hand in hand. That is fascism.
So Biden is the new Mussolini.
While no final steps were agreed on, the meeting represented an aggressive dialing up of corporate America's stand against controversial voting measures nationwide. I have to tell you, they're not controversial. It's just going...
They're not controversial? Then why is there a controversy? You are literally... Cheers. Yeah, his arms are very white. I don't know what Glenn baked. That's great.
To the way they were before COVID.
Yeah, which was bad. And getting worse. You want to go back to something? Go back to before the Voting Rights Act was gutted.
It's a sign that their opposition to the laws didn't end with the fight against the Georgia legislation. Many of the corporate leaders...
Well, no, because it's happening in other states. There's like 120 bills.
Who joined the call seem to view the voting restrictions as attacks on democracy. Saturday's call between...
Terrible. And why would they want to protect democracy?
Between company executives, this is a quote, shows they are not intimidated by the flack and they're not going to kowtow. That's according to Jeffrey Sonnenfeld. He's the Yale management professor, one of the call's organizers. They are not afraid of the flack. So in other words, they don't care what the people who buy their products do or say.
Well, no, I think they think of you as the flack. Because obviously they see a growing consumer base based on this idea. They're not worried about, you're the flack. You're Glenn Flack. I don't know what the shirt thing is. It's like a Proud Boys
Mike
thing.
Ward, co-founder of Civics Alliance, a nonpartisan group.
It's like, it looks like he's wearing his childhood bedroom's wallpaper. I want to be a cowboy.
Group of businesses focused on voter engagement said he felt there was a broad consensus at the end of the call that company leaders plan to continue working against any voting bills they think are restrictive, to lean into this, not lean away from this. It's going to get worse, and this is the official start.
Oh, it's good. All right. So was there... I'm sorry. That freeze was not
public outing of what you're going to live under with the Great Reset.
Oh, it's terrible. The Great Reset is coming. I don't know. It's Boogaloo? Yeah, is he wearing a Boogaloo shirt?
It's corporations that are going to make the rules. And their lie about stakeholder capitalism is this. The capitalists, the ones that are going to be running the companies, the CEOs of these giant companies, not the capitalists like me or you, the small business person.
No, yeah, little small business people who've been in business for 50 years but still keep having to move their microphone around in the shot and touch, and they'll just kind of figure out how to... By the way, has he moved out of Space Station back to this kind of like, we need something more that's more on brand like Magnolia?
But the people at Merck, the people at Citigroup, the people at Coca-Cola, they'll set the rules, and they'll crush anybody underneath them. And they'll work...
technically speaking, they're just leaving, I think.
With the government, or I should say...
How do they crush you? By not giving you money. It doesn't mean they're going to give money to the other side. It just means they're going to stop giving money to you. So how is that being crushed?
With the left, and those in power from the left, they will work with them, and your voice, well, you have a share in this too. You're a stakeholder, so your voice is at the table as well. Not on this private phone call. No. Not in any of these groups that are planning all of this stuff. No. You voted for somebody in Washington. Well, I don't know the last time I felt comfortable with my representation in Washington.
By the way, that's your fault, not ours. But the issue is not really in a lot of these states that people didn't vote for somebody in Washington. Our concern is that the local elections, which are being manipulated, the Brian Kemps, the Secretary of State, and the legislature in Georgia is creating bills themselves, signing them and passing them. Not because they were elected to do this. These guys have been in office longer than this. They just decided mid-term. None of these guys ran on quote-unquote election integrity bills in the Georgia legislature. And if they did, they got elected. So obviously, what are you saying? That there was no integrity in the election that got them in office? So by presenting this midway through, this isn't about representation in Washington. This is about somebody in a state trying to stop the representation of their state being legitimate in Washington, and therefore tipping the scales nationwide. So we all do have a stake in this.
It's been a long time.
I think I should be going, yeah. Time doesn't wait for me.
This law, by the way, in Georgia, expands early voting opportunities for most counties. And
Most? Well, that doesn't sound like equal protection. Most. Did you just say most, Glenn? For most. Not all? Some? Another word for most is some. Is it really most?
Expands voter ID requirements to absentee ballots. And that's what they're saying they can't have. Because apparently minorities are just too poor. It's too tough for them to get any kind of ID.
It costs money, asshole. It costs money. Legally, that's a poll tax. If you're charged, you can go in. I mean, you've got all kinds of, given stuff, your birth certificate, your social security card, those kind of things. But if you ask for a voter ID thing at the point of voting, when people have already been registered, already signed up, already had to show that process, then you're taking away their rights at that time, because they can come in and sign an affidavit in person as a human being. I'm me. You don't need a photo. I'm here. You can check it against the records. Nobody else is coming in saying they're me. And if they do, they're lying, and I want to see their ID. You know, this whole idea that having you got to show a voter ID, then fine. Provide everyone with a free ID. Otherwise, you're setting up a financial rail for everyone.
It's so horrible. Can we talk about vaccine passports for a second?
Yeah. It's an app. It doesn't actually, but you can't use it to buy liquor.
Isn't that discriminatory? How is it that somehow or another minorities can not only get the passport, but will be able to get the vaccine and then the passport? Because they'll need to have that before they go anywhere, right?
No, it's just some countries you fly to are going to require that people be vaccinated, and so people want to be able to show that digitally. You won't be necessarily required. You don't have to be vaccinated, say, to go to Canada or Mexico, per se, unless they pass a new rule that that's true. You may have to have a COVID test, which wouldn't require a vaccine passport at all. This is just like, clearance if you're going to an area where they have, tuberculosis or something. You might want to get a tuberculosis shot, and they might ask you, before you get on our trip, or you go on our, this is basically for cruise ships, let's be honest.
Why is it voting is the only thing that you don't need a license or identification to do? Why? I rent a car, I need...
Because you don't have a right to rent a car. You don't have a right to drive. You don't have a right to fly on a private airplane or a public airplane. You don't have a right to buy a gun. You can build one. You have a right to have one. But if those rights can be taken away, then they're not inalienable. Nobody has genuinely inalienable rights. They can all be inalienated. That's why I'm sorry, Glenn, but you can't. Free speech limits child porn. You can't do that. Sorry, buddy. You can't, spray a school with gunfire, as happened again today, and still be within your rights to, keep and bear arms.
Identification. I open up a checking account at Citigroup. They require identification.
Right. Private company. You don't have the right to a bank account. There's no right to a bank account in the Constitution. How is this confusing to these assholes?
They're now pushing for vaccine identification and vaccine passports.
Yeah, but that's to let people know you have been vaccinated. They're not pushing for it. They're providing it. So that if other people, companies, and other countries require it, you'll have it available to you as an American. If you don't give a shit, don't get one. If you don't think you'll need it, don't get one. Same thing with regular passports.
The lie does not hold up if
Guy Fieri sucks at politics.
anyone has critical thinking whatsoever.
Yeah, I feel like I've learned so much. Jesus Christ. But that's the big fear. I'm blitzing on the name, and I was trying to think of it before, but there's this weird Latin phrase that everybody's been talking about in terms of economic system that's coming up. It's like faranga mananga. I'm blitzing on the name of it. But it's this idea that this is the big economic system that's coming. And somebody in the chat room is going to know what the hell I'm talking about. There is this system that, they're going to change our normal capitalist system into this horrible version of, communist, socialist, something. No, it's not laissez-faire. It's a very specific thing that's coming. Yeah, Barbaranga manga, right. Barbaranga, it's Barbarella, it's the manga. I don't know, but I'll look it up because they've been bringing it up. I've seen it a bunch on the internet, and I dug into it a little bit, and it's just got this goofy name to it. But over the what? New term for sex change. Yikes! These guys are so fixated. Jesus Christ. Oh, by the way, Mike Lindell. Shall we? We don't have that much time, but Mike Lindell was on Steve Bannon's show, The War Room Pandemic, which I guess they're going to have to change the name of soon. What's it going to... Steve Bannon, I mean, unless he's just talking about his myriad of skin disorders. That could probably be it. Mike Lindell comes on, and apparently, he talks about Frank, which I'm definitely getting an account on Frank.
Had never heard about this. I think it was like something in the high teens would have changed their vote. Besides the steal of...
Oh, by the way, he's talking about the Hunter Biden laptop, and if people had just been able to hear the reality of it, it would have changed their vote for Joe Biden. And Rasmussen put out this poll that says 15% of people would have changed their vote, which is, if you know Rasmussen, horseshit. And ultimately, why? Why?
The vote, if that had just happened,
we would have so won this if we could have just stolen this laptop, put whatever we want on it, give it back to some dude and have him release it, and then everybody would have believed that everything on it, because some of what was on it was real, all of what was on it was real, and we would have been able to capsize an entire presidency for like $3 million. Well, $5 million.
Donald Trump wouldn't be playing golf this morning in Mar-a-Lago. He'd be at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue dealing with...
No. If he was still president, he would definitely be at Mar-a-Lago playing golf. He would have gone, he's going to escape this. He can't get reelected again. Why even bother? He would have just... Can you imagine how much he would have phoned in the next 4 years?
Chinese cryptocurrency and getting to the bottom of the Chinese Communist Party virus coming out of Wuhan, the Wuhan lab, the P4 lab there. That's what he'd be doing. So
yeah, that's what he'd be doing. And it's just like OJ would have really found the real killer. Is Trump going to put out a book, If I Had Won?
No, I don't praise the Daily Mail for what they're doing. This is all the kind of phony spin. They're all up in our, this is all so awful. Hunter Biden's so awful. This is all so terrible. He's a liar. Of course he is. And any sentient being would have understood that back in September and October.
Sentient.
2020. And why his family, Rudy Giuliani calls them the Biden crime family. Hey, the crimes are unbelievable. The money they've taken is unbelievable.
Well, yeah, it's not believable. I don't find it believable. And
yet he's wandering around the White House.
By the way, you'll hear unbelievable a lot when they use that word. They'll use outrageous. Outrageous is when they're attacked. Unbelievable is when they admit that what they're saying is false. They'll go, what I've heard about this guy is unbelievable. I mean, the stuff we found is unbelievable. They say it all the time. It is their key word, and it's because they know it's fake.
As he's wandering around the West Wing now. Okay, we're going to get more into that. We've got the great Mike Lindell. Go to mypillow.com.
The great Mike Lindell. Why is he great? Why is he great, Steve? Because he's paying for the whole fucking hour.
Right now, type in promo code War Room. It's got up to 66% discounts on certain items.
Yeah. What? Really? 66%. Why 66%?
But discounts across the board on just amazing products from a proud American company and a proud CEO.
Yes. I mean, I feel like we've gotten, we're so up to 66% off
of that company. Michael.
What do you mean up to? What's this up to bullshit?
Dale now joins us. Mike, there's so much the audience wants to ask you. You know, they look forward to these.
Yeah, they look forward to these shows where you pay to be on the show.
To these.
Yes, the grading Mike Lindell.
Hey, Steve, I want to quick say something about Hunter Biden.
Sure.
You know.
Okay, go ahead.
You know what they did in December and late November? Anytime I was going on TV to talk about this election fraud, all of a sudden then they come out. They all wanted to talk about Hunter Biden. So you're exactly right. It was a big deflection at that time. Instead of talking about the election fraud, they wanted to talk all of a sudden. Then they wanted to talk about Hunter Biden after it was already after the election. What?
Where? On Fox and Newsmax?
What a shame. Just more a part of their big plot.
Yeah, it was a big plot.
Let me just stay on that for 1 second before I go to. I want to talk about your social media. You know, you're very open that you know, you had a massive drug problem, right? You were controlled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Massive's a good word for it.
By the demon that is drugs. Your life was changed. All the stuff you did, and you lay it out in your book. You do it in your when you testify. You've done it on this show before. Melissa Hurry, I think, runs the Lindell Recovery Network, is a Christ-based, church-based recovery network. Because you're saying, hey, you just can't do. Man can't do it himself. He needs assistance, right?
Wait, are you telling me that AA actually has a higher power associated with it?
Yeah, turn your life over. Knowing that Hunter Biden,
which, by the way, Steve Bannon has not done, nor will he do, nor does he believe. Let's do this. He's floating the idea that this is a good Christian man who started a good Christian service to do good Christian things in the name of Jesus Christ, and that somehow by mentioning that, Steve Bannon is somehow stealing some of that valor that is alleged here. Steve Bannon doesn't believe any of that shit. Steve Bannon doesn't go to fucking church.
Biden admits all of the drug problems, all the meth, all of the thing. How could
why'd you say meth and not crack? Crack is the primary drug that everybody associates with the Hunter Biden scandal. You're not mentioning it because of the fact that Mike Lindell is a crack smoker?
The shape you were in, could you see yourself at the height of your drug problem being on Air Force Two, going to China? And being, by the way, with a guy that was vice president of the United States, with me, she was the number 2 guy at the time. They were cutting the deal about the South China Sea and about cyber, but you would be on that plane in the shape that you were in, and then allowed to go out and make official delegations and meet high officials of the Chinese government. Does that make any sense?
By the way, Mike Lindell, a lot of people seem to think that the story, and if you look at his book or even hear him tell it, there's a lot of people that believe that Mike Lindell was this kind of wannabe businessman who got, or just a dude who got a crack addiction, was terrible at it, and then got his act together and formed MyPillow, and the MyPillow business that he started was the redemption after the crack story. He started, and I don't know what his drug use was before. He doesn't really talk about that. You know, maybe it was just drinking. He started MyPillow. He became a crack addict 2 years in because of all the money he was getting. He was Devil's Hands of the Idle, Idle Hands of the Devil's Workshop. He was just using the money that he got. He was getting high all the fucking time. He was running MyPillow during that time. It was continuing to grow for years. So he was a maintenance crack addict during the time that MyPillow was actually growing.
To you at all, understanding from your own personal experience what you're like when you have that type of problem?
Absolutely. It makes no sense. A person would be so paranoid and unless.
Oh, so I'm glad that's over.
You're just totally, you'd have to be amoral. You completely have no morals or no inhibitions. I don't even know how a person could do it, but unless he was just, like they say, completely, part of what you said earlier, part of the crime family.
What are you talking about? He just asked you, like, how could you continue working in business and doing stuff while you were on crack? You did. He did. Dude was cracked out of his brain, and he was still running MyPillow. What do you mean, no morals? So people who do crack are paranoid, amoral villains. Good to know.
Let's go now to your. I know you're very proud of, and I think we've got the logo up for the launch of this massive social.
Oh wow! This is breaking news. The logo for MyPillow's new Frank
media platform, because one of the things you're fighting is cancel culture, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. He's totally gonna all those snuff films and pedophiles and ISIS videos that have all been broomed off of social media finally find a home, because this is going to be absolute First Amendment protection.
I think we've got both the Going on Offense Fund and the social media platform. Let's start with social media. What are you going to put forward to the American people to, and particularly, obviously.
That's it. Oh, it's so good. What a great logo. You know what? I'm going to take back everything I've said about Fiverr. Frank. That's the the voice of free speech. That's the logo. God damn, that's terrible. Really? Frank. Look, it's got a little thing like a Wi-Fi, and then a little thing on it. It's Twitter blue. And look, I love how they're about to put up their own Twitter graphic underneath. Frank.
Obviously, the conservative MAGA crowd. What are you going to put forward that you've been working on?
MAGA? Jesus Christ. It's MAGA. You've been hanging out with Sebastian Gorka too much.
On behind closed doors, and it's all this, not whispers, but all this people are saying this thing is going to be huge, this is going to be massive. Mike Lindell's doing it.
Yeah, totally. Everybody's just saying it behind closed doors. This is going to be gigantic. You can tell, like, the amount of money that goes into this kind of design. Like, Steve Jobs must be kicking himself. He's not alive to really get because it was so important. Typefaces and then
What do you really have at the end of the day?
It looks like F rank. F rank. Frank.
And what are you going to put forward?
Well, there's nothing out there like this.
No, there's nothing like this, unless you count like the Reddits that ISIS used to use.
Hey, think of a YouTube where your Twitter is also your YouTube account. It's like,
okay, my Twitter and my YouTube are the same account. Okay,
there's nothing like it out there, but it all focuses on free speech.
It's great, free speech. So I look forward to just being able on my account to download entire television shows, and documentaries and all kinds of stuff, and then just upload them to my account. I'm sure there's no limit on server space.
Everyone is we're going to have hundreds and hundreds of influencers come there. We've been talking about yesterday and today. We've given them all.
Yeah,
a demo, so to speak, because we're launching this coming week here. And
yeah, you gave a demo to influencers.
And tens of millions.
Yeah, fucking rank.
Of people, I think hundreds of millions. It's set up. It's the most safe. I got my own servers. I've been working on this for 4 years, but I got my own servers. I have everything covered for safety.
Yeah, dude, nobody can get in those servers.
I put another $2 million into just the security because we know we're going to get attacked.
Sure.
I don't rely on your Amazons or your Apples or your crooked Googles or all these companies. I don't rely on them. And I can tell everyone I'm putting everything I have on this. When they come there,
and it is not a money-making endeavor.
People are going to they're not going to have to worry about their information going anywhere or going to a Jack Dorsey or a Mark Zuckerberg in
all defense, in their defense, it was Parler that had all their information dumped online. There's 7 terabytes.
We're going to finally have our voices to be able to. Right now, our First Amendment rights. Everyone I know, all these people have lost their YouTube accounts, their Twitter accounts, their.
Yes, Sebastian Gorka just lost his.
A guy the other day, he talked about the border. He lost his Facebook account. They're trying.
He just by talking about the border. He just talked about the border. That's all it was. He lost his Facebook account just for mentioning the border. That's weird. The border of America, between I guess Mexico and America is not even our largest border. Our largest border is, of course, with Canada. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of people come and go over both borders every day under normal circumstances. What else can I talk about the border? Checkpoints are very, few and far between in some places. There's a comprehensive immigration bill. I'm talking about the border. Can anybody check? Is my Facebook page still there? I mean, I just spoke about the border. It should be gone by now.
Trying to suppress this.
Had I knew. Oh, look at that. Motang.
Because they don't want all the stuff that I have out there that we have. That's when we go back to the machine election fraud. Well,
yeah, you got to be able to post all that stuff. I mean, expect that.
Michigan gave us Motang.
All right,
or talking about vaccine. Nowadays, we don't even know what you can talk about. All these influencers are walking on eggshells, and they want to be able to speak freely again. And it's going to coincide perfect.
And by the way, just so you know, by influencers, he means QTubers. Let's be abundantly clear. He doesn't mean like, makeup tutorial people on YouTube or gamers, that like the top gamers on Twitch. He's talking about QTubers. 100% QTubers. All maggots, all QTubers jumping on his thing. That's who he's talking about, just for the record.
With what's going to happen this week with a lawsuit, and that'll be a big surprise. I'll give a little hint here. My Pillow's going after Dominion Smartmatic for free speech violations of our First Amendment. It's going to be amazing. But more important,
you can't sue someone for violating your free speech when they're suing you for libel. You could just use that as a defense.
With this platform, we're going to launch on.
Oh, I can't get over how great that logo looks, man. You can tell he's been working on it for 4 years. Shit.
Everyone now, your listeners and your watchers, your audience can actually go there. I believe it's this Monday. You can go there and get pre-signed up and get a VIP pass, and that'll be good from Friday, Saturday, Sunday of this coming week. We're going to have the whole group of the VIPs in there that they can go around and be on be on this platform, be the first ones on there. And then 9 a.m. on the 19th, we're launching live to the world. And I'm going to do it. It's going to be, we're going to call it a Frankathon, like the old Jerry Lewis telethon. We're going to start.
Yeah. There's a lot more. All right.
At 9 a.m. and live and go around the clock. And we're going to have on Tuesday or on Monday, we're going to have. It's going to be all about the free speech, the platforms, the situation we're in this country right now. And then on Tuesday.
Yeah, because all the people coming to your platform don't know.
We're going to launch Absolute Interference, the next documentary.
Oh, God.
And it's going to be the most
By the way, for the record, guys, I will be in Florida when that launches, doing rehearsals for 12th night. So I look forward to being able to do this and then racing off to rehearsals right after the show every day.
Blowing evidence you've ever seen in history, and we're going to focus on that all day. But this platform will be the safest, most secure, and everyone's going to be there. And this isn't just.
So Trump's going to be on there?
This isn't just about election or the vaccine or anything. No. This is about getting our freedoms back and being able to talk about it, being able to get it out there. There'll be
flat Earth, the satanic cabal, pedivores, all that stuff. You mean all the Q stuff? Right?
The people that are coming over now that have committed is just anyone you think about out there: radio, TV, newspaper, podcasts, all coming over. So you're going to have a one-stop shop where you're going to get. And the influencers that come over.
Yeah, anybody you can think of. Anybody. Rachel Maddow.
The people, they're already going to be followed. So if someone doesn't want to watch it, they unsubscribe. So it's going to be great for all the...
Oh, so you're going to auto-follow all the VIPs on there. It's the same shit that Dorsey did when he started Twitter.
All the platforms that have been hurt, too, like your radio and stuff. So...
Hang on, let me go through this because there's a lot there. Number one, you've been working on this for 4 years. You've been working on this for 4 years. This, Justin, wasn't something you kicked in when you started being deplatformed. If you start working on 4 years ago, why did you, at the time, why did you think you would need, or why would you think you...
Yeah, how did you know? Does crack give you ESP?
Want to be
That's what I want to know.
Somebody that was a founder and or investor, or somebody that was bringing a new social media platform. What was it 4 years ago that gave you the idea that this may be something important that I should get ahead of?
Why does it always look like I worried? Look, when I cut my sketch for Sexy Liberal, where I was in Mike Lindell's show, I was making conversation with, I cut out the other guy and put myself in, and there are a bunch of times where Mike Lindell looks like he's talking, And I was like, I thought I had edited the audio out by accident, and I'm like, oh shit, he says something there, I got to use it or whatever, and there's nothing. He does this whole thing that looks like it's constant, where he looks like he's kind of talking. He's right.
Well,
It's
a couple
super
things.
weird.
I haven't got along
The Franks come mad at night. The Franks come mad.
with Mark Zuckerberg ever because of the things he always does on to people on Facebook. And then you throw in Jack Dorsey, and you've got some big problems. Well, but for myself, it was more because I'm looking at another thing we're going to be launching, which is my store, which is a rival to Amazon. So I've looked at all the security and stuff and these platforms for about 4 years. But I got you come.
By the way, my store, I'm calling it right now, will be 80% My Pillow shit and 20% drop shipping from China.
Align that with where we did Absolute Proof, where we ran that. I ran it with Brandon House, and his
editing skills.
Guys had also been working on this for 4 years on a separate. I didn't know them until recently. So those two things coming together, and Brandon's very into the security because his show that he puts out is very controversial, and he's attacked all the time. And me and myself, I've been attacked all the time for 4 years now. When the bots.
You're not being attacked. No one has attacked him. I'm sorry, but you get criticized and called out. You're not being attacked. No one has accosted him. No, he's not getting death threats. Mike Lindell can go anywhere he fucking wants. People will yell you're an asshole at him, but it's not an attack. It's because of your behavior.
And trolls come out and stuff, and so that's kind of the reason.
How are you going to save everybody from the trolls on Frank? That's what I want to know. And I'm sure you guys are curious too, because obviously I'm going to have to stream on Frank. But how do you broom out trolls? Or is it just ultimate free speech that you can't stop anybody from saying what they want to say in your feed? What is the moderation? What are the moderation rules in the terms of service on Frank? We got to read those out loud.
Right there. It's kind of out of necessity, but now it's gotten to levels we could never imagine with communism coming into our country. We've seen this coming 4 or 5 years ago. We've seen this coming with when the bots and trolls.
We saw this coming.
And the suppression and people putting warnings up on Facebook, and this was going on for quite a while, but now it just everybody sees it now.
Okay, Mike, can you hang on? We're going to take...
Well, no, there were things like there's blood and gore in this video, or it's sexually explicit. Nobody was going... There was no fact-checking on this shit until last year, when all the lies came out.
Short commercial break, and we're going to turn Mike Lindell, the CEO of My Pillow. He's announced that he is going to... I guess My Pillow is going to actually sue, not countersue, but sue Dominion. And the other machine companies. We'll get into that. Also about this new social media platform that's a combination of YouTube and Twitter. We'll talk about that. Yeah. Also, he's going on the epidemic. America that's standing up to that. That controls.
All right, we've seen enough of him for today, and I'm almost out of time. I want to end on Chris Salcedo, because if there's anybody that can bookend a show that's completely just fraught with douchebaggery like this episode has been, unfortunately, if anybody can, and it's not surprising that it's Newsmax, but if anybody can bookend that kind of douchebaggery with Sebastian Gorka, it's Chris Salcedo. And his argument here is they never accepted Trump. Why should we accept Biden? Yeah.
Friday, the Chris Salcedo Show on Newsmax TV.
Sorry, Salcedo. Subservient. So, okay.
Do you remember how the biased media carried on about the alleged lies being uttered by President Trump? I do.
Yes. They weren't alleged. They were all pretty well documented, actually.
Their incendiary accusations led many in the unfair press to have to print retractions and suffer the righteous wrath of President Trump when he justified...
Oh, did they? Oh, yeah? Many of them? I think 2?
Justifiably called them out for trafficking in fake news. Well, we have another administration. They are lying, but their lies are harming U.S. citizens. And the
Why? And by the way, why is that in quotes? Why is they never accepted Trump? Why should we accept Biden? Why are you quoting yourself? Are you just air quoting everything?
press is largely silent about that. They never accepted Trump. Why should we accept Biden? It's an exercise in fairness in tonight's preamble. And
That's right. I mean, he's the president of the United States, obviously, and a lot of us kind of, we didn't accept him as a human being, but we understood that, let's say, the laws he signed in or the executive orders that he signed were they were based on the power of the presidency. They had legitimacy, and they did carry out largely what he asked for. Like his tax cut, we didn't pretend the tax cut didn't exist. We were just against it. We didn't act like what he signed was fraudulent and was going to get thrown out simply because of who he is.
a laughingly weak display of spin over fact. It's an exercise in fairness in tonight's preamble. And a laughingly weak display of spin over facts. Team Biden and their merry band of Marxist-Leninists claim that law-abiding
Marxist-Leninists, are we going to just, is there a difference? Is it important?
Americans being able to construct their own guns at home, which has been a legal tradition since our founding, they call that a crisis.
No. Dude, we're not talking about people with a blacksmith fucking forge, you dickhead. They're buying kits. Like they're fucking out, like in the fucking shed, like Rambo hammering out a barrel.
At the same time, Biden and his team claim, with a straight face, they claim that the unmitigated disasters at the southern border, not a crisis.
Well, look, I guess I should be flattered. People are coming because I'm the nice guy. That's the reason why it's happening. That I'm a decent man, or however it's phrased. That, that's why they're coming, because Biden's a good guy.
By the way, they use that as him bragging on himself. He's referencing, and he's done it, he did it before in context, things that I provide that others don't. But Salcido knows, like, he thinks he's a nice guy. He thinks they're coming because he's a nice guy. And he's like, no. They're alleging that he's the nice guy that's going to let him in. And he's going, I'm glad that they're coming because of me.
Guy. Truth of the matter is, nothing has changed. As many people came, 28% increase in children to the border in my administration, 31% in the last year in 2019 before the pandemic in the Trump administration. It happens every single solitary year.
Biden is not a nice guy. He's a liar. That's not me
Ouch. He's not a nice guy. You see how he is with his dogs?
saying it. The Associated Press, through a rare fact check of a socialist Democrat, said, quote, according to statistics published by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, authorities encountered 9,457 children without a parent in February, a 61% increase from January, a far cry from 28%. At this point, I'd like to
without parents. A 61% of unaccompanied minors. But they make up the majority of the people coming across. The increase overall was the 28%.
Remind you that Biden's policy of tiers is not only bringing harm to Texas and the United States, but also to illegal aliens themselves. Socialist Democrat Party's policies have led to 6-month-old babies being thrown into the Rio Grande River. 3- and 5-year-old little girls being...
What's the alternative here? Do they just keep them and sell them? Is it better that they're in the arms of America? Or is it better that they're in the arms of whoever this asshole would be who would drop them over the fence? Are they safer on this side? Because the parents aren't getting through. That's one of the reasons.
Thrown over that 14-foot border wall and abandoned in the desert. The Democrat Socialist Party's compassion has led to illegal alien detention facilities being fertile ground for sexual assaults against children. And despite this, Team Biden sees no reason to shut down these facilities. But Biden...
Dude, do you recognize that's because they're looking into it from last year?
Biden says it's not a crisis. And the slavish left-wing parrots at MSNBS and CNN, they nod their heads and say, oh.
Oh, that's the new one. MSNBS instead of MSDNC. All right.
Okay. By the way, MSNBS and CNN, they nod their heads and say, oh, okay. By the
Way to bring some character into it, Salcido.
way, we all remember that Kamala Harris has been put in charge of Biden's border crisis. She is in no hurry to get down to the border, and one might think it's because she compared our brave border agents to the KKK. Well, what is Kamala busy doing anyway? Well, she's visiting...
Yeah, what is she doing? Obviously, she's too busy running the actual government and using Joe Biden as a sock puppet, I guess, to go down there.
A bakery in Chicago, for one thing. And a lone member of the press called Harris out on her typical laziness in government. Jen Psaki, well, she gave this specious answer.
The vice president was visiting Chicago actually to talk about COVID and the importance of communities getting the vaccine when it's available and accessible to them. And so while she was there, like many Americans, she got a snack. I think she's allowed to do that. But she was there to talk about COVID.
Okay. For those of you who are products of the socialist Democrat dominated...
Do we have, by the way, I know they've been clamoring about this one for a bit. Hold on. Let's see. Harris visits Chicago bakery, I guess. Chicago brown sugar bakery sees surge in business despite some backlash after okay. After Vice President Kamala Harris, business jumps at brown sugar bakery on Chicago's South Side. Oh, I know why they... What could it be about this bakery that these folks have a problem with Kamala Harris visiting? I don't... Is it caramel? No. Is it the lighting? What could it be about this bakery that upsets everybody that she... Let's see. Harris made a brief stop outside the bakery at 328 East 75th Street en route to Midway Airport after she toured a COVID-19 vaccination center. She picked up a slice of German chocolate cake, her favorite, and the bakery staff presented her with 2 trays of caramel, strawberry, and lemon cupcakes. The stop generated enormous publicity for the bakery and gave a boost to all of 75th Street. The visit was a total surprise to Hart, who didn't even know Harris was going to be in Chicago last Tuesday. She said security agents came to the store at 3:01 p.m. to do what is called a security sweep, and Harris spent about 10 minutes, appeared about 10 minutes later. Hart couldn't get there in time. Harris was gone by 3:20. Oh, it was her shop, and she wasn't there when it happened. Damn it. Hart had to close a shop in the Austin neighborhood, and she is working on getting an outlet in Navy Pier reopened. With the help of 2 PPP loans and learning to pivot to things like online ordering, Hart told me she has 40 full and part-time workers, including those staffing her confectionery line. Brown sugar is a small-scale economic engine. Last month, I'm sorry, why am I supposed to be pissed about this? What part of this... I was full on, I have to say, I was full on expecting her to have sat there mask off with a bunch of people. Right? Isn't that what you expect? Like, oh... Fine, like Gavin Newsoming her, you know what I mean? Where they're like, oh, she went to this place, and we're all supposed to wear masks and not go inside. But she goes inside, eats a giant piece of German chocolate cake, smears it all over her face, like you could tell, and then without wearing a mask, surrounded by black people, and then runs out. Like, by the way, I just for the record, let's see, where is it? It's so 328 East 75th Street. Where is it? Okay, I just think like we have to the next time I do a WCPT live event, and if they've got their Navy Pier place open again, because I think the view would be really great of the city, depending on where it is. We'll do the CPT event at Brown Sugar. How's that sound? I love. Well, Bob, I mean, isn't that how they talk? Right? That's how they talk, right? Oh God, these people are awful. Hold on, shut this down, shut that down, shut that. My computer gets weirded out when I have all these windows open.
Government-run schools.
By the way, I'm like craving chocolate cake right now. And why is it that Kamala Harris, if she is biracial, wants this German chocolate cake and she likes it so much?
Specious means having the ring of truth or plausibility, but actually misleading. Jen Psaki was hoping that the American people would fall for her explanation. Everyone can relate to popping into a store and grabbing a snack, right? I mean, how can Kamala be expected to do her job when she's got a sudden attack of the munchies? I mean, really, we've all been there, right?
All right. Are we going to find out that Big Brown Sugar, which sounds like, by the way, a character in a 1970s blaxploitation film that I would totally watch, and with Quentin Tarantino sitting next to me explaining me how actually good it is. Please tell me what the big deal is.
The truth is, the President of the United States and the Vice President don't just decide to pop into a store and grab a bite to eat. What happens in real life is nothing like some dumb Rob Reiner movie. These events, like visiting the bakery, they're planned out weeks in advance for security reasons. Now, all of you are not...
Okay, I'm still not... Obviously, not according to reports, but let's say it was planned out weeks in advance, that she's planning on going to this place. She's going to this COVID-19 vaccine center, and then on her way out of town, she's going to visit a black business that got PPP loans that's in the process of trying to reopen another one and drawing attention to it, and an entire block of businesses. Why? All right. And yeah, good point, by the way, Robin. Obama, while he was president, did spontaneously drop into Five Guys Burgers and Fries a bunch of times. So I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Expected to know that. But you know who does know that? Every member of the press in that room who let Jen Psaki get away with that lie. Now, if Kayleigh McEnany...
Why is it a lie? You still have no proof that it's a lie. Why? I genuinely, like, I'm usually willing to give these assholes a wide berth as far as explaining the awfulness of something, because usually there's a seed, like with Glenn Beck, there's a seed of his sort of bizarre anti-Semitism, that's buried in his worry about Citigroup, right? And you can kind of go, I see why he said. That's why it stood out to him, and there's a lot of financial people involved, and that's the reason he brings it up, right? I'm still waiting for the she owns stock in brown sugar.
Nanny had said something like that, CNN's liberal opinion host Jim Acosta would have sprang up from his seat, snatched that microphone from her, and then challenged her on the spot. And then he would have refused to give that microphone back.
Really? Is that what would have happened? If Mike Pence stopped at a bakery and people went, what the hell? What was that whole stopping at a bakery thing? And he went, well, he just wanted a snack or whatever. No, he didn't. Like, what kind of bizarre paranoid... I'm sorry, but following Mike Pillow's description, I need to ask, Chris Salcido, are you smoking crack?
Last year, after the election, I said this of Joe Biden. In my experience, respect is earned. And there is nothing in Joe Biden's public life, and certainly not in his private life, that requires any respect from any American who has a conscience. It is laudable and...
Sorry. That's right. I forgot. That makes sense, though. I can understand why he would say that, because the Violence Against Women Act is a personal attack on Chris Salcido. He really hates that.
Necessary, in my opinion, to oppose socialism, to oppose your loss of rights, to oppose the...
So if you oppose socialism, I get it. The black bakery got a PPP loan, which is socialism, even though it's not socialism when Marjorie Taylor Greene's business gets it. And because she went to visit that's government coordinating with a business based on race. And I see.
The United States government being turned into Mr. Biden's own personal piggy bank to oppose your government being run out of foreign capitals like Moscow.
You tell him, Chris. And by the way, when are you really going to get that TV screen with your name behind you? Are they ever going to bring it into your office?
And Beijing. A Biden occupation of the Oval Office will be illegitimate for all those reasons, and simply because we don't like him or his leftist cronies.
So he's not legitimate because you don't like him. All right.
And that's really all the justification we need. The Democrat Socialists, they showed us the way. Yes, respect is...
I was so right before when I said what I said that I'm still saying.
Earned. I don't respect liars. The media claimed President Trump lied. Most of the time, the accusation itself was a lie. The basket of
No, that's actually a lie, Chris. That's actually a lie. The vast majority of times when people said he's lying, they fact check it and he was lying. It's a huge number. The retractions are very small. They're not even a statistically significant proportion.
Biased press used their accusation of lies as a predicate to justify treating President Trump unfairly. This also gave the devious...
By the way, does Chris Salcido have fucking guests on his show?
Press
I guess
an
so.
opening to undermine Trump's
Besides Don Jr., I mean.
America First agenda. I'm continually showing how Biden and his team are actually lying, harming Americans with those falsehoods. Thus, I'm obliged to treat Biden just like the press treated President Trump.
So they had every right to and stuff. Although you're not fact checking his lies, you're actually just asserting that something's a lie and standing on it based on, I guess, your emotional feeling about it. So something's a lie if it upsets you. God damn, that must be a difficult shopping trip when you go to the mall with Chris.
I'll also remind my liberal colleagues in the media how they declared George W. Bush an illegitimate president, how they also declared President Trump an illegitimate president.
And I mean, in Biden's defense, I mean, he did win the popular vote with the largest margin and the largest overall number of votes in history. And Trump lost the popular vote, won by, 74,000 votes in 3 states because of the Electoral College. And of course, Bush v. Gore ended up winning Florida afterwards. They just didn't ever go back and kind of fix it because we were a year into the Bush presidency. And then 9/11 happened.
And now you left-wing haters can witness the fruits of your treacherous and dishonest labor.
Well, there's a huge difference, though. And in all fairness, Chris, that when the quote-unquote mainstream media, the few members of them, but let's just say everybody in the mainstream media, let's just follow your line, that everybody, all the liberals in the mainstream media declared George W. Bush, an illegitimate president, and Trump an illegitimate president. They have a large reach, and a lot of people give a shit what they think. When you do it, nobody gives a shit. Seriously, nobody. They're paying for views on your Newsmax channel. They're buying them. They can't clear 25,000, so they're paying for people to watch the videos. That's why you have 1.8 million subscribers and 46,000 views. This is a few days ago. This isn't even something like, oh, well, it just came out and the number will be 200,000 by tonight.
Over 75 million Americans and growing. We pro-Americans will never accept a...
Yeah, they're not growing. They're actually not. Like, Republican numbers are going down. More people shifted to Democrat in the last election. But keep saying growing. Sorry, QAnon. Go ahead.
Lying buffoon like Joe Biden. And as stated, we have you to thank for showing us the way.
Well, you're welcome. I'm glad. I would be glad, Chris, to tell you where to go anytime.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty.
Thank you, guys. Oh, I don't need to. No. Hi, Rob Finnerty. I don't know who you're talking to, Rob, while you're on Wake Up America, because no one watches your show either. It's amazing. Like, I have this little... I mean, I got like 17,000 subscribers on my show, and I'm hitting a quarter of those subscribers on every show, approximately, over a few days watching my show. And you're not... You have 2 million subscribers, and... You're doing what? Less than 1%, some nonsense, are watching your shows? How does that shit work? How's that a business model? I'm still confused. Newsmax, somebody from, how are you guys making money besides Mike Pillow? It's very confusing. All right, I'm going to sign off. Have a great Monday, you guys. I will see you tomorrow. Obviously, we will, I'm going to Florida next week to start rehearsals. And so I will be doing the show from there. Hopefully internet will hold out, and I've got to I'm putting my whole road kit together to take the show with me. I will be on every day. I might move the time for the rehearsal period, and then because I'll be in East Coast time and I'll have nighttime rehearsals, so I want to be able to get done and go over there and and there's other people involved in that schedule, so I don't want to shuffle them around for me. So we'll figure that part of it out. But I wrote Florida Man in honor of my trip. If you haven't seen it, check out it's on the channel. And enjoy it, and I will see you guys later. Thanks so much, guys. Thank you guys for the super chats as well, and thanks to the new followers. And thank you, Aisle 13, for giving the gifted tier 1 sub. That was very nice of you. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget to share the show, like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, and Zoltan. And I'll see you guys next time. All right. Bye, everybody.